Chicago Fire Season 13 unexpectedly writes out a character ahead of Carver and Ritter's finale exit. Ahead of Sam Carver and Darren Ritter's exit, Chicago Fire Season 13, Episode 21. The bad guy effectively writes out one character. The One Chicago franchise is not new to cast leaving throughout its more than a decade on the air. As ensemble procedurals, Dick Wolf knows that actor rotations are part of what keeps his show fresh and long-running. That said, it would be an understatement to say that the last few years have been tumultuous at Firehouse 51, considering everyone that has left for various reasons. The Chicago Fire Season 12 finale saw the biggest departure of the show thus far. Chief Bowden left Firehouse 51 after a surprise promotion that would elevate his position in the CFD. Before that, Sylvie Brett and Blake Gallo also left. Between those and the weekly cast rotations as a cost-cutting ploy, it's sometimes difficult to remember which characters are still in the show. As it approaches the end of the year, Chicago Fire is once again losing two characters, Ritter and Carver. However, before their exits, the first responder procedural sneaks in another departure in The Bad Guy. In Chicago Fire Season 13, Episode 21, Violet returns after skipping the previous week as part of NBC's cast rotating schemes. Unfortunately, her comeback comes with a slew of challenges, primarily when it comes to her personal life. Her resurgence also coincides with the reappearance of Flynn, the lawyer that Violet has been seeing since earlier this year. The pair immediately had a connection during their chance meeting, but while it seems like their relationship has been smooth sailing, there are issues bubbling on the surface. Flynn's suggestion about Violet becoming a doctor versus a massive conflict between the pair. As it turns out, she has been dealing with the same passive-aggressive comments from those around her for years, ever since she chose to become a paramedic. There's no denying that Violet is good at her job, and being a doctor is attainable for her, assuming she wants to do it. In the end, Violet decides to break up with Flynn, effectively ending his role in Chicago Fire. Without his connection to her, there's very little to no chance of seeing him again. Violet and Flynn's conflict in Chicago Fire Season 13, Episode 21 is technically about how she doesn't appreciate him, suggesting that she's settling in her job. That being said, the issue that broke them up isn't really about that. Flynn actually recognizes this immediately, right after it sinks in that she is breaking up with him about something that they can seemingly talk about, assuming that both of them want to fix the mess. Sadly, that isn't the case. Ultimately, Violet has always been in love with Carver, even when she thought that she was having a good time with Flynn. At that point, however, she and her coworker couldn't find a way to make things work, considering their respective personal baggage. Carver hasn't been much of a factor in Chicago Fire Season 13 since he sought help for his alcoholism. But in his absence, Violet realizes how much he means to her. Flynn has been involved in other work-related plots during his time in Chicago Fire Season 13, but there is just not enough story for him in the show without his ties to Violet. He could still return in the future, especially since One Chicago is known for bringing back characters for shorter arcs to drum up nostalgia. Carver's inevitable exit in Firehouse 51, however that storyline plays out, might even be a path for him to appear in Chicago Fire Season 14. In the end, it's Violet who is in a lose-lose situation here. Firehouse 51 has seen its fair share of shakeups over the years, but Chicago Fire Season 13 is throwing fans a curveball with an unexpected character exit that no one saw coming. While viewers were already emotionally preparing for the highly anticipated departures of Sam Carver, Jake Lockett, and Darren Ritter, Daniel Kira, in the season finale, the latest episode stunned audiences by writing out another beloved character ahead of time, Lieutenant Stella Kidd. In a move both shocking and bittersweet, Season 13, Episode 20, titled Backdraft, sees Kid accept a surprise opportunity to join an elite international rescue unit overseas. The storyline, which had barely been hinted at in the preceding episodes, unfolded quickly, leaving fans reeling and theorizing about what it means for the future of Firehouse 51, and more importantly, for her husband, Kelly Severide, Taylor Kinney. The episode begins with a multi-alarm fire at a high-rise construction site, a harrowing rescue operation that sees Kid take charge with the precision and bravery fans have come to expect. But it's not the blaze that alters the trajectory of her life, it's who's watching her. A representative from Global Rescue International, an elite search and recovery unit based out of Germany, is on site and immediately impressed with Kid's command, strategic thinking, and fearlessness under pressure. Within 24 hours, she receives an offer that leaves her torn. A 6-month assignment leading a multinational training effort in Eastern Europe. Initially, Kid is reluctant. Her roots at Firehouse 51 are deep, and she and Severide have finally settled back into married life after seasons of starts, stops, and separations. But Chief Bowden, Eamon Walker, encourages her to consider the scope of the opportunity, not just for her career, but for the impact she could make on a global scale. What makes the storyline even more poignant is that it mirrors real-life transitions that many first responders face. As Bowden tells her during a private office conversation, sometimes the fire you're meant to fight isn't in front of you. It's across the world, where you never thought to look. It's a line that sets the tone for Kid's emotional goodbye. The exit is not dramatic or fiery. It's quiet, dignified, and deeply heartfelt. Her final scene at Firehouse 51 is a tearful group send-off, complete with a touching moment between Kid and Brett, Kara Kilmer, who returned for a short guest arc to support Kid's next step. "Go set the world on fire, in a good way," Brett says, wrapping her in a hug that feels like the closing of a chapter. For Severide, the departure is a test of everything he and Kid have worked to rebuild. While his history with long-distance assignments has strained their marriage before, this time it's different. He's the one staying behind, and he's the one encouraging her to fly. "You've always been the one charging into the flames. It's your turn to lead a firestorm of your own," he tells her in one of the episode's final scenes. The moment is intimate and understated, yet powerful, an acknowledgement of how far both characters have come. The timing of Kid's departure, just 2 episodes before Carver and Ritter's, adds an emotional weight to the finale that's already set to be heavy with goodbyes. Ritter, the heart of the younger crew, has been quietly considering a move to a firehouse closer to his family. Meanwhile, Carver's exit is tied to a long-brewing storyline involving an internal investigation, hinted at throughout the season in scattered scenes of tension between him and a new district chief.